Well, this is Tim Hellman.
And Jake Tenpass.
And this is Movie Talk. Today we're going to review the movie Sucker Punch. Ed Melvin is sick this week, so Jake's phoned in. Do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I live up in Portland, freelance for the Oregonian, write music, reviews and previews and food reviews, and am part of a PR company called AMPM PR. Got my start down in Corvallis, editing the arts and entertainment section, The Entertainer, for the Gazette-Times and the Albany Democrat-Herald, which is where I first came into contact with Tim.
Okay. So you probably have the most actual movie reviewing experience of anyone that's been on this so far.
My review of Punch Drunk Love won an award from the Oregon Newspaper Publishers Association.
Oh, really? How many years ago?
I don't know what that means, but when did Punch Drunk Love come out? That came out in probably 2002, 3, somewhere in there. I don't know, somewhere around there. But yeah, I like writing movie reviews. I tend to be a bit more of a music geek than a movie geek, but I have watched lots and lots and lots of movies in my day, so I feel qualified, Tim.
Oh, yeah. That's you definitely
I feel good about this.
I've always enjoyed reading your reviews, and I think you're a really good writer.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the independent spirit that you bring to filmmaking, and I like that you're making movies down in Corvallis and capturing some of the quirk of that local scene, so I think that's a good thing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of Sucker Punch?
I mean, I think I basically enjoyed watching it. I don't know what sort of I don't know what like emotional feelings I was supposed to have coming away from it. I mean, I love watching hot chicks battle train cars full of robots. So sometimes that's and like slay dragons and shit. Yeah. So maybe that's enough. Maybe just I mean, it was basically like watching a bunch of music videos edited together with a sort of very simple storyline.
That's kind of like an anime film too, live action.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that the types of costumes that the women were wearing in it seemed very reminiscent of anime. I mean, the music was very prominent in it. It was like every time they would go into an action sequence, they would go into like some sort of an old cover of some old song. So there was a lot of redone, modern, contemporary covers of the music, which I was not a huge fan of that aspect of it, because you can't be better than the Beatles or the Stooges, so why even try?
Yeah.
Like, why not just use the original songs? But at the same time, I never really thought the movie drug. There was no point at which I was like, this is boring. It was a little weird in that, like, nothing you saw in the movie was ever actually happening, or very little of what you saw. It was mostly,
half of it was.
Yeah. It was like so much of the like important.
And so you weren't as emotionally invested, I thought, in those scenes.
Yeah. You're like, okay, this looks awesome. They're killing a bunch of like steampunk zombie soldiers. It was funny how there was almost no character setup. It was like you start off with like essentially a montage of images of her dad killing her sister and then sending her to the insane asylum. But it's like all that happens so quickly that we get there before we have any sense of who she is as a character. Yeah. And you never really find out anything about any of them as characters. So from that perspective, it's hard to form much of a bond with them. At the same time, anytime that you have women kicking ass on controlling men, on some part of me is like, that can't be all bad.
No.
I imagine like there were lots of teenage girls in the audience in the theater actually, and I was thinking, I hope all of them are watching this and being like, yeah, the next time somebody like tries to control me, I'm gonna stand up to him. Like we always need more good female action heroes in movies. So I dug that aspect. And I mean, I think if there's one thing I would say about Zack Snyder, it's like he makes movies that are really pretty to look at. Whether or not the movies also have like a soul, have some kind of some sort of like heart to them that like you can really care about is another question. I would argue, for me, Watchmen did, but then I read the comics and there was.
I thought Watchmen was.
But I mean, I felt something for Rorschach, as twisted as he was. I thought he was a sympathetic character. I really felt something for Night Owl. I thought Night Owl was a very sympathetic character and very detailed. But now looking back on it, I'm like, okay, well, all those details came from the comics. Zack Snyder didn't put them in. He just did a good job of communicating them on the screen. Whereas in this movie,
this is his first original material, I think.
Right.
Everything else has been based on some adapted from something else.
So I feel like you can really see when he comes up with his own original material, all of his visual panache, all of his like ability to like tell a story and have it look cool comes through. But he might want to work next time with some sort of a screenwriter that's really good at writing characters, like deep, good characters, you know? I mean, I really liked a lot of the aesthetic elements of it. I mean, you can say a movie's pretty looking, but I like the fact that it like combined elements of steampunk with like fantasy. Like you had the old Frank Frazetta fantasy style art, like with her like, you know, stabbing the dragon through the head with the sword. It looked like an old fantasy poster from the 70s. I liked like the way they would mix kind of sci-fi, like old sort of like sci-fi and fantasy artwork into this sort of big stew of kind of like fantasy work.
So what's your rating, 5-star scale?
Out of 5, I would probably give it 3 stars, maybe 3.5.
I was debating between 4 and 4.5, and I'm gonna go actually 4.5 just because of the visual element.
Even if this movie had shortcomings, I would definitely go see pretty much any movie he puts out until he puts out something really bad, because I think his movies are always really fun to watch. But
next up is Superman.
Oh right. Okay, so you know what I thought about actually when I was watching this is I thought about Damien Arlen and that thing that he posted on your wall. I think it was a link he posted on your wall or my wall about
eye candy.
Substance. Yeah, world building is not enough. And I actually thought about that while I was watching this movie because there's a lot of world building going on in this. I mean, this movie is like a movie that has like more cool ass atmospheres than it knows what to do with. But then it doesn't really populate those atmospheres with particularly well-rounded characters. So if you like just sitting there and like basking in the warm glow of, you know, really cool atmospheres, you'll enjoy the hell out of this movie. If you are looking for a tight character-driven drama, I don't know what the hell you're doing even thinking about going and seeing this movie, so I can't really help you. But
yeah, it's agree.
All right. Rock. Thanks for having me on, Tim. This was fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Bam!